Welcome to another edition of Discovering the Maverick Factor. I'm Josh Sowers, voice of the Mavericks, and today we are chatting with Director of Athletics here at UT Arlington, Jon Fagg. And Jon, great to see you first off. Welcome to the show.
Always great to see you. Great to be with you.
Always great to see you. Well, today we're going to be chatting with Jon about everything at UT Arlington, athletics, and everything about yourself as well, because all of a sudden 2 years have essentially gone by. How's these last 2 years been for you?
Really been amazing. This place is a fascinating institution, fascinating city. I thought I knew what I was getting into when I came here, and it's just been so much more. I think the Maverick Factor idea is a really good one because it's one of those things, if you know, you know, and you see it, or you understand it when you see it. And so I feel like I'm getting the Maverick Factor, understanding it, and trying to push it all forward now.
Yeah, and you look back to August 1st, 2022, your first day on the job, and just how much effort has gone into, A, building this university, and B, building this athletic program, and it seems like everything is culminating to everything's in the right direction.
Yeah, Dr. Cowley and the leadership team have just done a fantastic job of working to really move the university forward. I describe to fans and donors a lot that where we are right now is really a historic time, truly. Very rarely do you actually have as much turnover in leadership as we've had. And so we're making decisions right now that are going to affect us for the next, 25, 50 years. And that's an awesome responsibility and a wonderful task.
Yeah, absolutely. And coming from an alum myself, watching this place grow from the last 10, 11, 12 years now I've been here, it's been absolutely incredible to watch. We're going to talk about athletics here in just a little bit, but we want to get to know you personally a little bit because you've done some traveling and you've hauled the family with you a few times. First off, introduce us to your family.
Yeah, so been married for about 32 years to my wife Amanda. I have 3 grown children, John II and his wife Ashton. They live in Fayetteville, Arkansas. John's an investor and Ashton is a speech pathologist. And we have boy-girl twins that are 22, just graduated from the University of Arkansas. Reed is heading to law school this fall in Virginia at Washington and Lee University. And our daughter is an RN, just finished her bachelor in nursing and heading to the Mayo Clinic to be a nurse in their neurology unit. So
very cool.
There you go.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I mentioned how you've moved across the country a few times, so I'm sure for them does moving getting easier? No, and what's it like to always break the news like, hey, pack up your stuff, we're going somewhere else now.
It is interesting for the first time they're moving because our oldest their kids grew up mostly in Fayetteville, Arkansas. They lived a few other places, but we left our son, our oldest, in Fayetteville, and now the twins are breaking off on their own, so they're having their own move for once, and we don't have to worry about it. That's a good deal.
You've spent some time at some big time programs, and you've been on both coasts, just about everywhere in the United States. Obviously, you talked about being your time at Arkansas, 14 years with the Razorbacks, 7 years North Carolina State, and then 3 years Fresno State.
Yep, absolutely. And then there's really more than that. I've lived in Charlotte, Asheville, Raleigh. I've lived in Tucson, Honolulu a couple of times, Columbia, South Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia. I've lived in a lot of places growing up.
Yeah, you sure have. So other than Arlington, Texas, what was your favorite, where you spent some time?
I grew up in Honolulu. That was a pretty neat thing. My dad was a college football coach, so, kind of had that nomadic path around. But Honolulu is home other than Arlington.
That's quite the jump. You graduated Arizona, so you go from Honolulu to Arizona.
Yes, I grew up in Honolulu, started school at Hawaii, finished school at the University of Arizona where I met my wife, and again, kind of been all over the place ever since.
You had a variety of roles coming out of college because you're also a coach. Now you've turned into an athletic director. Is that kind of when you realize, do I want to go into coaching? Do I want to be an athletic director? Where did that thought process hit?
Yeah, I started off coaching like my dad, followed in his footsteps and really enjoyed it and coached for a little while. And it's just a fun story that my best friend is a guy named Eric Studesville, and he got a job with the Chicago Bears. and I did not. And I just thought, maybe I should just go ahead and not coach. Maybe I'm not as good a coach as my buddy, and he coaches for the Miami Dolphins now, and I don't either. So I'm doing all right, but I thought maybe administration was a good path for me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right, so since you've lived everywhere, when it comes to pro teams, do you have a rooting interest in one team or another?
Actually, in all seriousness, I've lived in college towns most of my life, and so moving here has been really, really fun. It's the first time I've really gotten to know pro sports in the area, and so I love the Cowboys. Jerry Jones is an Arkansas graduate, and so I knew him and his family from my time at Arkansas. But it's really fun getting to root for the Cowboys and being here for the World Series and champion Texas Rangers and all that kind of stuff. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we'll kind of transition into talking about the city of Arlington. And yeah, you mentioned World Cup's on its way. Yeah. MLB All-Star Game is just a few weeks away. Yeah. So we just wanted this entire mecca of sports in this metroplex is something. I'm sure that was one of the reasons that draw you to apply to the position of director of athletics.
I do think UTA and UTA athletics in particular can have an even more prominent place in the city. It's the college sports program, and compare and contrast that to the pro sports organizations, I think is a really healthy thing to do. It's obviously not that. It's more family-friendly entertainment, a little more affordable, and just a little more pure to go along with playing at the absolute highest level is a really neat thing.
Yeah, and just a few blocks away from beautiful College Park Center, you've got Choctaw Stadium, Globe Life Field, AT&T Stadium, all these others. When you first came to Arlington, when you first stepped foot inside College Park Center, what were you thinking?
I remember it vividly. Holy cow. This is as good a facility as there is at this level of athletics. I was so impressed. Everyone who involved in building it did a fantastic job. The people, College Park Center staff does an incredible job of keeping it up. It's beautiful, and it's a real advantage for us.
Yeah, I remember watching that building get built, and then all these opposing teams and every event that's come through, they say, "Wow, what a great building to have." On campus of your university.
Yeah, I just had an athletic director friend from California was in town the other day, and he came by to visit, and he came into my office. He hadn't seen inside the arena, and we walked through the door out onto the concourse, and he literally said, "Holy cow, this is amazing." So.
How much time had you spent in the Metroplex before making the jump to UTA?
A little. We had some at Arkansas predominantly. We had some donors down here, so we'd come down for some donor visits. Arkansas and Texas A&M play football every year in Texas in AT&T Stadium, and I oversaw football at Arkansas, and so I would come down for that game. And so I was here, a couple of times a year for sure, at least, but not anything enough to understand the vastness of the Metroplex.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we touched on this earlier. Arlington, the dream city, and now you're 2 years into living here. How much have you enjoyed the city of Arlington? And I know just getting to know everyone from the politicians to everyone involved with the city, just how much support they have for UTA.
Yeah, that's been really fascinating. I wasn't sure what to expect in being in such a big place. I was used to college towns and knowing the leadership of the town, but I didn't, quite frankly, think we would have quite such a great relationship as we do. The mayor, the Chamber of Commerce, the Sports Council, Sports Commission, all the pieces of the puzzle are here really to support the university, all of our endeavors, and in particular athletics. And so I've been really, really impressed at how much they want to help.
Yeah, and it takes an army to grow a university, and from the UTA community, it seems like we have that foundation in place.
Yeah, we really do. They reached out. They even were involved in my interview, showed up to visit with me to see who the candidates were, and so I knew them literally from my first day here, and that's been incredibly helpful for us.
You have a great relationship with President Jennifer Cowley, and we know how much she supports athletics. Yes. And obviously, I think it all starts right there. How important is it to have from the president's suites to everybody on down support athletics?
Yeah, it's been really fantastic. Dr. Cowley really is an amazing person. I think she's the 9th chancellor or president that I've worked with, and she has such a practical ability to connect academics, athletics, high-level thinking, kind of boots on the ground thinking, and she, along with the rest of our leadership team, have said, we want athletics to grow, assist in growing the brand of the university. Athletics is often the front door, front porch, and so we're trying to make sure we make it the best front porch and front door we possibly can.
Yeah, and as we move on to your philosophies as an athletic director, as we move into this next season of competition with all the sports, what is some of these short-term goals, some of these long-term goals you have for not only this department but this university as well?
So, my ultimate goal is to win every WAC championship in the same year. So that's not a high bar or anything. I just incredibly competitive. I just want to win. I jokingly say we play, so we might as well win. There's no use to play and lose. So, I put that pressure on all of us every day. And then we talk a lot about being a shark. Sharks move forward. They are ready to go. They're looking for that next meal, looking for something to eat, so to speak. Every time they eat something, they go find something else to eat. So we never want to be satisfied. We want to be growing constantly, moving forward, and kind of be on the offensive.
UT Arlington, part of the Western Athletic Conference. Now, there has been some news over the last few months about some conference changes. Grand Canyon, Seattle, they're leaving. SFA has left. UTRGV just left. So when it comes to UT Arlington's status in the Western Athletic Conference, what are some of the conversations you're having right now?
Yeah, that's, conference realignment is a common thing across the country. It hadn't touched us for a little while, it being in the Sun Belt for 10 years. Now it has. We're committed to the WAC. We're trying to be leaders. I view UTA as the flagship institution of the WAC, and so we want to take that leadership role. Dr. Cowley shares that, and we're working closely with conference office and other WAC members to stabilize and then expand the conference.
The WAC moved their headquarters from Denver to Arlington a couple of years ago, kind of coinciding with your hire. Yeah. How important is it to have the conference literally just in the backyard right now?
It really is important. I've been at different places. At NC State, I was about an hour from the ACC office, and you could just get more personal service because if you wanted to be at the conference office, you could. Same thing here. I can be at the conference office in 10 minutes. I did it 2 weeks ago because Commissioner Thornton and I were talking on the phone about something, and I said, well, hey, I tell you what, why don't I just pop up there and we can sit down and visit in person? And we did, and that's incredibly helpful. In the SEC, we're a long way away, and I felt like we got that treatment as well.
Yeah, no, definitely something different about in-person stuff, and obviously with the pandemic, you had Zoom and all the video interviews. So I'm sure that in-person effort makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it really does. And so I love the fact that they're here. I think they do too. They can utilize our facilities some, and they do. We can kind of interact with them a little bit extra.
Talked about your second year concluding, and when you look back at just this last year alone, what are some of the things that come to mind, and just enjoying your second year?
Yeah, I felt like we really started hitting our stride, where the culture of the department is starting to take shape. A good example, we have new men's basketball coach, KT Turner, and we basically finished, kind of 12th in the league last year, and we finished 3rd in the league, 4th in the league this year, and then lost in the conference finals to go to the NCAA tournament. So we just increased our competitiveness, and really love that kind of an example. We had incredible academic achievements. We had 21st semester straight of a 3.0 or higher overall athletic department GPA, 140 3.0 student athletes, 24 4.0 student athletes, 30 current or former student athletes graduated, and that's the academic achievements. And then we had many athletic achievements, some fundraising achievements as well. So we're doing well.
Yeah, and I know going back to your time at Arkansas, academic success, I think, is one of your top priorities. Yes, and you just kind of went over some of those stats, but it seems like, with the support we have at UT Athletics for the academic success side, that's an initiative you have. Very important to get these athletes graduated and securing good jobs in the future. Yeah,
so my background is academics. I spent 20 years working directly with academic support and student athlete success, and so it is really, really important to me. The staff and the student athletes here have a long 21 semester history of doing well. I'm working to make sure I continue that as best I can and see if we can add to any piece of that puzzle possible.
We've had some major achievements on the course, field this season for UT Arlington Athletics. You obviously lead off with the men's tennis team, regular season champions, tournament champions, but they are definitely not alone in some of the success we saw this year.
Yeah, we were really excited. We had, as you said, the men's tennis team were regular season WAC champions, tournament champions, went to the NCAA tournament and fought Oklahoma. They unfortunately came up short. But we also had the Player of the Year in Yohan Torres Espinoza. We had the Coach of the Year in Diego Benitez. Diego's done a phenomenal job, been here for almost 20 years, and just leads them. They're competitive every year. And like you said, we also had a bunch of success in our other sports. If you kind of go through the year chronologically, we start off the year with cross country and volleyball. We had the WAC Freshman of the Year in women's cross country, Metro Jepkemboy. Really excited about that. We had volleyball, had several all WAC performers. Throughout the year, we had 15 all WAC performers. To go along with Metro, we had 2 other WAC Freshmen of the Year, Makai Williams in men's basketball and Winnie Kipsang in track. So, fall, spring, winter, we're doing really well. Men's basketball, I think we had touched on maybe a little earlier. We had an incredible year in men's basketball. To go along with Makai Williams, we had Philip Russell was the 6th man of the year, and so kind of 2 of the 3 big honors: Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year, 6th man of the year. We had 2 of the 3. Had several all-conference performers. And then when we move into the spring, baseball had an incredible season, had a couple of all WAC performers from there. And then softball, Camille Corona, sorry.
It's a lot of names, trust me.
About to mess up her name. Camille Corona had an incredible year as well. So, kind of start to finish, we really had a lot of success, and we're really excited about it. It's never enough. My shark analogy, never enough, but we were really excited about what we did.
Yeah, and like you said, it seems like every season somebody with UT Arlington Athletics, they're making headlines.
Yeah, no question. And I think that's what we're really trying to do. Kind of goes back to the comment about being the front porch and the front door of the university. Really, when you get down to it, one of the fastest ways to advance our brand beyond our walls is to be successful in athletics. It just ends up on TV, ends up in the news regularly, and it's an easy place for people to consume that brand.
Also, women's basketball, successful year, golf as well.
Yeah, women's basketball, they had one of the most difficult non-conference schedules in the country. Sharika really wanted to challenge her team. That showed itself as the conference season wore on. They were just tougher than most teams. It kept building and building. Had a great run to the semifinals of the WAC tournament. So, they had a fantastic year. Golf had a great year. Women's golf really improved year over year. One of our great players, Madison Lee, had won the Texas Amateur last summer and took that success into the season. Daniel Cronje, one of our men's golfers, had an incredibly successful season for us. Won a tournament in a playoff, and that was fantastic as well. And so we really, again, feel like we're really building all the way from fall all the way through spring.
Yeah, all these pieces are starting to come together at this university. I do want to go back to NIL, because when you open up web page, newspapers, if people still do that, I'm not sure. That's basically all the headlines you see from college athletics. And coming from Arkansas, that's where it all kind of started. Whenever you were at Arkansas, when NIL started becoming a huge factor in college athletics. Now you transition to UT Arlington, obviously a bit of a smaller school than Arkansas. So what have been some of the challenges that you've seen coming from a SEC school to UT Arlington?
Sure. The biggest transition for me was just kind of the mindset of it. I wasn't sure how to translate the skills and experiences I had at Arkansas with name, image, and likeness there to UTA. So it took me a minute. It took me a few months. But now I think we've really figured out our voice and our Maverick Factor, if you will, with NIL. It's really the same things that happened at Arkansas or SMU or Texas or TCU, just a little bit smaller scale. Partnering with student athletes is an incredible benefit. The demographic of, kind of that 18 to 39 age group there's just a lot to be said for it. So we're getting out in the community, like I said, finding ways to partner. We've now had some deals done. That's just kind of the vernacular. We have collectives that are raising money and awareness and opportunity for student athletes in men's and women's basketball, and then our other sports, Dream City Sports and Arlington Advantage. And so we're working on that. And then the landscape is shifting toward most of that responsibility, having the ability for it to come what we call in-house and be directly governed and overseen by us, and that will fall to our compliance staff and our fundraising staff. And so we're really excited about the future. It's a good description for people is just the value of playing sports on a college campus has increased. In the past, you didn't get any scholarship. You just came and you played. Then you started getting a partial scholarship. Then you got a full scholarship. Then NCAA rules allowed indirect costs, some spending money or travel, some money to travel back home if you're from out of town. And now it's just extended past that to a little bit more money. And that the brand is valuable. And student athletes represent the institution uniquely. Basically, no other constituent on campus wears the name across their front the way an athlete does when they go represent the brand. Other people go off campus and do things, but student athletes really do put our name on them, and so that's valuable. And we're trying to encourage every chance we can to have that partnership with businesses.
As we get ready to wrap up here, congratulations on your second year.
Yeah.
For you and for this athletic department. What's the next step?
Yeah. We just need to keep growing. Fundraising is critically important. Exploring and discovering our Maverick Factor. I really love the Maverick Factor thought. When I heard about it first, when I first saw the Maverick Factor video, I thought it was wonderful because this place is really eclectic. Right? It's really diverse. Our city is diverse. Our university is diverse. We have incredible strengths. And I'm trying to represent that the best possible way, both with the quality of student athletes we bring in and the success we have on courts and fields to push us forward, to push that Maverick Factor beyond our walls.
Well, I'm looking forward to year 3, and hey, before you know it, cross country and volleyball gets started here.
It won't be long.
No, it won't be long. It won't be
days,
long at all. That's Director of Athletics at UT Arlington, Jon Fagg. I'm Josh Sowers. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Discovering the Maverick Factor. We'll talk to you next time. Go Mavs.